Hey world, what up? Bleacher Report. Gotta dive in on this new article right here. Basically, one surprise trade idea for every NBA team by Mr. Grant Hughes. Kind of covered a lot of Bleacher Report articles and kind of given my basis of what I thought of what each NBA team could kind of trade and different, scenarios along those lines. So kind of reiterate, let's kind of see any surprise trades for each NBA team. Let's just dive into here. Okay, starting off with the Atlanta Hawks. Um, let's see right here. So the trade. The Atlanta Hawks are going to acquire Derek White from the San Antonio Spurs in return for Kevin Horter. Uh, no, I wouldn't make that trade. Kevin Horter is a pretty much a spot up 3-point shooter on the team. I mean, he's young. But for Derek White, I really don't really see too much of a crazy change or need for that. The Atlanta Hawks pretty much they have bigger fish to look at in free agency if they want to make that playoff push for Trae Young. Probably bigger picture, you probably have to make a. They're gonna have cap space, so there's not a lot of big names out there. If you want to make the playoffs, pretty much I would try to sign DeMar DeRozan for a 2-year deal and just throw the bag at him. But besides from that, Atlanta for that. Not too crazy. With the Boston Celtics. So let's see here. The trade proposal would be the Boston Celtics would acquire Rudy Gobert from the Jazz for Gordon Hayward, Daniel Tice, and 3 first-round picks in this year's draft. So that'll be their 14th, 26th, and 30th. I do like Gordon Hayward going back to the Jazz. Donovan Mitchell needs a scoring wing. So, it would have been very ideal for Gordon Hayward to re-sign, but it is what it is. The Celtics, they need a big man. I've always stated that, the best pick they can get out there for someone who's actually on the market is Steven Adams. But if you want to go the Rudy Gobert route, you can try. I doubt it works because you do have the Jazz with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Now, if the Jazz were to ever let go of Rudy Gobert, you would pretty much have to pair a scoring wing with Donovan Mitchell, who's a young cat or is either established in the league. Gordon Hayward's 31 years of age. In that ballpark, he has a massive contract, and he came off a horrific injury, and he's not an all-star type player anymore. So you definitely do not make that trade. And even if you're getting the 14th, 26th, and 30th pick, those aren't substantial when you give away Rudy Gobert. So no, at the Celtics, they need to go for Steven Adams. That's what I've been saying. All right, the Brooklyn Nets, trying to find that third star. Before jumping into here, I've always stated if you're going to get a quote-unquote third star to pair with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, it does not need to be a wing. It does not need to be a guard. It needs to be a power forward. And out of all the power forwards who can, in their career, who pretty much can take less on the scoring, who can pretty much sacrifice their role, like a Kevin Love, like a Chris Bosh, that has to be Lamarcus Aldridge of the San Antonio Spurs. He's around, I think, 34, 35 years of age. I could really see him playing with Kyrie and with Kevin Durant. Kyrie and KD pretty much are going to take on the majority of scoring. They can each give you 30 a night. Lamarcus Aldridge can have breakout games. He can. And I think with this time in his career, he wants to win. He joined the Spurs for a reason. Didn't work out. But definitely if you have Kyrie and KD, he joins the team. And you have, what's the cat's name? You have DeAndre Jordan as your center. That team is going to win a championship. So let's see what they have here. They're going to acquire Victor Oladipo for Karis LeVert and Garrett Temple if he were to opt into his contract. Listen, if you're the Pacers, no, you can get a lot more for Oladipo. If you're the Nets, you truly don't need Oladipo because you're going to have Kyrie and KD have the ball in their hands so much. Victor Oladipo is going to regress and digress substantially if he were on that team, unless you put him as a sixth man. Now that's different, but no, I actually would go more along the sides of a Lamarcus Aldridge. You can run him, start him at the 4 with DeAndre, and then he can play with the second unit in the second quarter a couple times, playing the 5. I would definitely go with that route. And with the Nets, they brought in Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, so they're building a culture some veterans out there who played in the game who have experience. And I think you need to put those type of vets alongside Kyrie and KD to build a culture because they can be quote-unquote chaotic and quote-unquote toxic. I think Lamarcus Aldridge would be a great fit. Not Oladipo, who's young and who wants to be a star. The Charlotte Hornets. So they want to acquire Aaron Gordon and the 15th pick, and they would swap the third pick. If you're the Orlando Magic, you definitely want to make that trade. Aaron Gordon's not progressing the way we've expected him. I don't know where his potential can or can't be. Probably just a peak of one All-Star appearance if he's in the Eastern Conference, maybe two. And if you're the Hornets, you don't make that trade, not for Aaron Gordon. You pick up LaMelo Ball. He's going to be a franchise player, an impact player, 6'8" at your point guard. He's going to make your franchise better and teammates. You got to pick up LaMelo Ball. You don't need to make a trade. The Bulls. Chicago, okay, they're going to pick up Ben Simmons and the 21st pick, and Philadelphia will receive Larry Markkinen, Zach LaVine, and the 4th pick in the 2020 draft. If you're Chicago, you definitely make that trade. For the Philadelphia 76ers, you don't need to make that trade. It's not necessary. Ben Simmons is going to be a generational talent. He's still very young. He's 23. He's played, 4 seasons in the league? I think 3, and this is going to be his 4th. No, you do not give him up for Zach LaVine, Larry Markkinen, who'd never been in the playoffs and who can't take on the impact of scoring. And with the 4th pick, you probably pick up an Obi Toppin or I doubt LaMelo Ball gets that low. But no, if you're Philadelphia, you keep Simmons. If you're Chicago, you definitely make that trade. All right, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's see here. They're in a mess. The franchises. You definitely got to let go of Kevin Love. You got to get that contract out of there. You got Andre Drummond for 1 year who opted in, who's still young. You need to bring in like an Andrew Wiggins. You definitely need it. At all costs, you got to either draft LaMelo Ball or Obi Toppin if you're the Cavaliers. So they said they're going to acquire Nicholas Batum and the 3rd pick in the draft from the Charlotte Hornets for Andre Drummond and the 5th pick. Interesting. So pretty much if you're the Hornets, if you're going to give away your 3rd pick and in return get... Oh, no, the Charlotte Hornets would... see here. So it was Batum, 2020 draft. Okay. So if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, if you give away your 5th pick and Andre Drummond for the 3rd pick, you definitely can get LaMelo Ball. Now, if that's the guy you're really looking at for your team, I know the Cavaliers are looking at Obi Toppin for their 5th pick, so it really depends. If they want LaMelo Ball, yeah, you make the trade. If you're cool with Obi Toppin, then you don't have to move Andre Drummond or the other pick as well when it comes to it. If you're the Hornets, if you receive Andre Drummond the 5th pick, that you don't need that because Andre Drummond's going to leave you in free agency. He's going to get the bag somewhere else. And with the 5th pick, you may not even get LaMelo Ball or Obi Toppin. So the Hornets, that screws them up. No, if you're Charlotte, you stay put. You get LaMelo Ball, maybe sign Montrezl Harrell for like a 1 or 2 year deal, throw him the bag, and pretty much build up that team and franchise. The Dallas Mavericks, so they're in a interesting position. They can pretty much make big moves, or they can kind of stay put and wait for Giannis and free agency. So basically, here the trade is Dallas will receive J.J. Redick, the 13th pick, and they're going to give away Maxi Kleber in the 18th pick to New Orleans. If you're Dallas, no need to make that trade. Maxi Kleber is 26. He's young. He's ideal as a stretch 4, stretch 5 in the league. You don't need a 35-year-old or 34-year-old J.J. Redick on your team when you got other shooters out there. So that's not necessary. The Denver Nuggets, listen, they made the conference finals. They really don't need to make any big moves. The only person you got to keep an eye on is Paul Millsap, who's going to enter free agency as an unrestricted free agent. So if you lose him, you're going to fill someone in at the 4. You definitely need to keep Jeremy Grant on your franchise. So that's I think they kind of need to stay put and progress and keep the core The potential of Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr., which we've seen a big step with those guys this season. So the Nuggets acquire Bradley Beal. In return, they give Michael Porter Jr., Gary Harris, PJ Dozier, and a 2021 first-round pick. If you're the Wizards, you can get more for that, a couple more picks as well. And if you're the Wizards, you can get more for Bradley Beal. If you're the Nuggets, that's an interesting situation. Now, the Nuggets are not in a quote-unquote win-now mode because you do have a young Jokic and a young Jamal Murray. So you don't need to jump the gun for a 26, 27-year-old Bradley Beal. And if you do have Bradley Beal, he plays kind of fairly similar to a Jamal Murray, but more on the scoring end. So to be honest, if I'm the Nuggets, I keep the core as it is. I don't make that trade for Bradley Beal. But who knows? It could go through. I may be wrong. The Detroit Pistons, they're a mess as it is. They need to fire Dwayne Casey. They need to rebuild and retool because this little experiment of Dwayne Casey, Derrick Rose, and Blake Griffin, it's not working. There's injuries. It's not there. So they're inquire CJ McCollum in the 16th pick, and return the Blazers will receive Blake Griffin in the 7th pick. If you're the Pistons, that is ideal. CJ McCollum can finally be a number one option. But if you're the Blazers, man, you're not going to trade CJ McCollum, who's a borderline all-star, for Blake Griffin, who's hobbled, injured, and let alone he's not going to be that second guy alongside Damian Lillard. No, sir. The Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are in a weird position. They got that second pick. They're looking like we all thought it'd probably be James Wiseman. They're actually looking at, they want a wing to be on them, so they may pick up Obi Toppin. Who knows? I doubt they get LaMelo Ball and make a trade for it. With that second pick, they could deal it. So we really truly don't know what the Warriors are going to do with it. This proposed trade is the Warriors are going to acquire Drew Holiday, Miles Turner, and Victor Oladipo. Okay, looks like a 3-team trade here, and the Pelicans are going to acquire Andrew Wiggins, the 2021 first-round pick, and the Pacers will acquire Draymond Green and the second pick. No, if you're the Warriors, you definitely don't do that. You got Steph and Clay at the 1 and 2. You don't want to move Clay to the 3, as we kind of saw with Steph and D'Lo. Did not work out at the 1 and 2. So you definitely don't want Steph with Victor Oladipo, who's unproven as, a guy in the playoffs who can be able to be that main guy. He's still young. He's still an all-star type player, but no. Miles Turner, Drew Holiday. And plus, yeah, if you get Drew Holiday and Victor Oladipo, I mean, are you going to run Steph, Drew Holiday, and Victor Oladipo? Nah. Who all need the ball in their hands? Nah. And plus, you're not going to give away Draymond Green. He's a culture guy. The Warriors will win one more championship with their core. They'll probably be in the next 2 to 3 years, but no, you don't blow that up for that. I think the Warriors let go of the young cats, bring in some veterans, run one more season, and then focus all in for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And if you don't get Giannis, then you throw in, either Kawhi or Paul George or, that other type player, if they really want to go big. The Houston Rockets. The Rockets are in a weird position. Daryl Morey stepped down. There's been rumors of trading Russell Westbrook, James Harden, blowing it up. Now, the rumors have been kind of reversed, so they'll keep those two together. Ideally, I think they need to make a trade with the Pacers, so I think they could probably bring in like a Miles Turner on your team. You can bring in, like a Malcolm Brogdon, kind of players along those sides. But there's nothing truly ideal for this team. So it says here that they would require Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Jarrett Allen, Kurkos in the 19th pick. For James Harden. Yo, that's crazy. Hey, if you put Kyrie, KD, and James Harden on a team, they're winning a championship. That team, everyone's going to want the ball in their hands. No, if you're the Rockets, that's a terrible trade. That is a terrible trade for James Harden. I'm not even going to mention that. Indiana Pacers, they got to let go of Miles Turner. he has a terrible rating alongside with Sabonis. So acquire the third pick in the 2020 draft, the 32nd pick in the draft, and Cody Martin from the Hornets for Miles Turner. Yeah, no, definitely, man. You definitely do that if you're the Pacers. If you get the third pick in the draft, oh, yes, easily. If you're the Hornets, why in the world, why would you trade your third pick for Miles Turner? That's beyond me. They need a franchise type player. I don't know what this author's thinking, man. The Clippers, they definitely need a point guard. I was never crazy how they started Patrick Beverley at the 1. I've always stayed with the Clippers. I would have liked if they ever since they picked up Reggie Jackson, I thought they would have put Reggie Jackson at the 1, Beverley at the 2, and then at the 3 and 4 you have PG and Kawhi, and then at the 5 you would have Zubac. Kind of play that smaller ball, but you would have a point guard out there. There's been rumors of getting Chris Paul in a 3-team trade, let alone if they were to pick up Rajon Rondo for agency. So either or, I'm cool with. I believe Rondo's going to stay with the Lakers. And with CP3, you can make the trade, but it kind of depends what you gave away 6 first-round picks for Paul George, so you're not going to have the assets to throw in for Chris Paul. So here they're proposing to acquire Ricky Rubio for Patrick Beverley, Landry Shamet, and as many second-round picks. If you're the Suns, you don't make that trade. Devin Booker plays very well with Ricky Rubio, and he's ideal with Phoenix. If you're the Clippers, you're kind of in panic mode. You need a true point guard on your team. If they don't pick up Rondo, CP3, or Rubio, they're probably going to have to pick up like DJ Augustine in free agency, kind of on the low. I don't really know any other true point guards out there that can fix the Clippers. The Lakers, if they're definitely going for a repeat, I think they need to make a 3-team trade in regards for CP3. CP3 and CP3 and Bradley Beal should be your top 2 guys all time if you're making a big blockbuster trade. I don't like the direction of Victor Oladipo. I don't like the way he would fit on the team with his role, and he won't click with LeBron and AD. So I'm not crazy, about this trade proposal here. I would not do that. Only if I'm trading Kuzma, Danny Green, Caruso, picks, and kind of my bench, I'm going to do it for Bradley Beal and or for Chris Paul. The Memphis Grizzlies, you definitely need to pair John Morant with a wing who can be able to score, who's young. And ideally before that was Michael Porter Jr., but he's pretty much untouchable with the Denver Nuggets ever since the playoffs. Besides from that, you would probably want to get like a Jaylen Brown. I don't know how much you can throw to the Celtics. Not a lot of young cats who are wings who can pretty much, who have a good usage of scoring out there and who's available. So, I don't know. Let's see what they got here. Grizzlies acquire Bradley Beal. They give away Georgie Jang, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, and a 2022 first-round pick. Bro, I have no idea what's up with this author. Why in the world would the Wizards make that trade? If you're the Grizzlies, yes, but no. If you're the Wizards, no. The Miami Heat, they made the finals. They overachieved. I think they need to stay put for 1 year and bring in Giannis if they can in free agency. So you don't need to make any big trades or anything. Heat acquired Kyle Kuzma for Kendrick Nunn. No, why would the Lakers ever do that? No, that's stupid. The Milwaukee Bucks. I've always stated they need to go for CP3 to pair with Giannis Antetokounmpo. If not CP3, your number 1 option, of course, should be for Bradley Beal. That makes more sense of their ages and a person who can score out there. Bradley Beal should be number 1. But you're not going to have the trade assets anyways, but who knows. Here's the proposal. Acquire Kyle Lowry for Eric Bledsoe, Brook Lopez, Devontae DaVincio, the 24th pick, and a top 3 2023 first-round pick. No, if you're Toronto and Kyle Lowry, you want to stay put in Toronto, even if they don't win another championship. Kyle Lowry wants to retire there. And if you're the Raptors, you're not going to trade him away, especially for Eric Bledsoe and Brook Lopez. That makes no sense. But now that'll be very good and ideal for the Milwaukee Bucks. The Timberwolves, listen, you got to blow up the Cat and D'Lo experiment, even though they haven't even played together one game. Especially, you just got to blow up the cat. He's not a number one option. He's not an alpha. He's a beta. He needs to be a number two option. I think you need to make a big trade and send those cats over to Phoenix. And you can get Phoenix. Well, it's a weird situation. You're not going to get Devin Booker. If you can get a bunch of like Kelly Oubre, if you can get a bunch of their picks, that won't do it. That won't do it at all. You're in a weird spot if you're Minnesota. Definitely need to blow up the team. I'm trying to think. You're probably going to have to do a 3-team trade if that's the case. Who's got the first pick? So the first pick goes to the Wolves, which they have. The second pick goes to the Warriors, and then the third pick goes to the Hornets. Maybe you make a 3-team trade and you try to snack up the second and third pick in the draft. You could send Karl Anthony Towns. If you wanted to, you can send Cat over to the Warriors. You can get the second pick, and you could probably pick up. I'm trying to think. The only person you would want from the Warriors is their second pick. You would need a 3-team trade. So if the third pick goes to the Hornets, you definitely want to get some of their young guys. But that team's not ideal. So I don't know. If you give away D'Lo and Cat, if you have your first, second, and third pick in the draft, and let's just say your team is Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, and for example, like Obi Toppin, that's tough for your future. Now that's crazy for Minnesota. And maybe some other young guys from Charlotte that's included. I actually would I would actually really consider doing that if you're the Wolves. I'm just kind of freestyling, but who knows? Pelicans. So they picked up Stan Van Gundy. Wasn't huge on that signing. It is what it is. They definitely need to let go of Drew Holiday. I've stated that for a couple months from now. You could look at Bradley Beal. He doesn't fit with the timeline and the age of everyone else. But, if you put Lonzo with Bradley Beal with Brandon Ingram, Zion, and then Jackson Hayes, that's crazy. But I wonder what pieces the Wizards would need if that's the case. I don't know what it is. But let's see here. They would pick up Rudy Gobert in return for Lonzo Ball, Jackson Hayes, Darius Miller, the 13th pick. The Jazz will not make that happen. They're not going to do that. If you're the Pelicans, I want to keep Lonzo Ball. You need to keep Lonzo Ball. You really don't need Rudy Gobert, who's 27, getting paid a bunch. I would develop Jackson Hayes. If you're the Pelicans, you kind of want to stay put. If you want to make a trade for Bradley Beal, that's cool. You're definitely making the playoffs, but Bradley Beal doesn't want to be in the Western Conference, and he doesn't want to be mentoring young kids. He's trying to be a young star of his own. The New York Knicks. Knicks are trash. They pretty much are desperate for anything. So they would acquire Zach LaVine and the Bulls for the 8th pick and either Dennis Smith Jr. or Frank Ntilikina. If you're the Bulls, heck no. If you're the Knicks, yes. Almost done here. The Thunder. I've stated they need to blow it up. You had a great year, but you got to let go of Chris Paul. This is the highest value he will get with this big contract. So trade him off, get some young picks, or get some young players and some picks, cap flexibility. And then if you want to trade Steven Adams, go ahead. So you can get more picks and cap flexibility. So they're going to acquire Mike Conley, Ed Davis for Chris Paul in the 25th pick. That's stupid. If you're the Thunder, you got to require at least 1 to 2 first-round picks for Chris Paul. At least 1 first-round pick, then a second-rounder, if anything. But why would you pick up Mike Conley's big contract for 1 year? That's stupid. No. The Orlando Magic. Magic, weird spot, man. They've always been the 7th, 8th seed. I don't see much progression with their young guys except for Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac, who is injured. You can go different routes. If you want to kind of stay steady in the pack, you can pick up DeMar DeRozan. If you really want to kind of retool things and be young, you trade away possibly Vucevic and you let go of Evan Fournier and free agency, and you probably bring in, trying to think of the type of player. You're going to need a wing who can score. But they're proposing Buddy Hield, Rashawn Holmes, Vucevic. No, sir. No. Buddy Hield is not ideal for that team. Philadelphia, I said that you got to stay put with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. You got to keep them together for at least 1 to 3 more seasons. But you'll take it season by season. You got to get shooters in there, 3-and-D type players and vets. You got to move Simmons out of the point guard and be a small forward or power forward. I don't know if Doc Rivers is going to do that or not. So if I'm Philadelphia, you want to pick up Ricky Rubio. You need Ricky Rubio as your point guard on the team. I don't care what anyone says. You got to move Simmons to the 3 or 4. Actually, let's for the scenario here. You have Ricky Rubio at the 1. You'll have let's just say Simmons at the 4. You have Joel Embiid at the 5. For Ricky Rubio, you're probably going to have to trade away Tobias Harris. So, if you're the Suns, you probably do that because you can use a scorer out there with Devin Booker. May not be ideal. Who knows? I'm not sure about that. Or if the Suns, you just pretty much get some picks. So let's just say either or. You have Ricky Rubio at the 1. You can pick up Wesley Matthews on, a cheaper contract as a free agent at the 2. At the 3, you can have Ben Simmons with Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. Or if there's no Tobias Harris, you have Ricky Rubio, Wesley Matthews, Ben Simmons at the 3, Joel Embiid at the 5, and then at the 4, you can try to pick up Jeremy Grant or someone along those lines. Maybe a Paul Millsap as well. But different ways you can kind of play with that. This trade proposal for Mike Conley, they gave away Tobias Harris. No, listen, no. I'm not going to jump into that. You guys are smart. The Phoenix Suns, let's see here, acquire Ben Simmons and Josh Richardson for Devin Booker and Ricky Rubio. Now that's an interesting one right there. That's very interesting. If you're Philly, you don't make that trade. You're not going to trade away Simmons for Booker. Now, unless they really are sold on Joel Embiid and breaking the project up. If you're the Suns, of course you would want to have Ben Simmons probably over Devin Booker based on the timeline of things, but I don't think that's a win for either franchise. The Blazers. The Blazers, weird spot, man. I think they need to bring back in Lamarcus Aldridge on the team so you can have Ricky Rubio. You have Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and then Lamarcus Aldridge, that core 3 with your team. And, of course, you can bring back Melo to play as your 3. And then I think the rest of the team, they'll be fine to make a push in the playoffs. But if you're the Blazers, you already peaked out in 2018 or 2019, my bad, when you made the conference finals. I don't expect the Blazers ever to reach that peak ever again. That's just me. Acquire Klay Thompson for CJ McCollum, Zach Collins in the 16th pick. Warriors would never do that. The Kings, I don't even know what to mention with the Kings. There's no future. Listen, the only thing the Kings need to worry about is relocating out of Sacramento and jumping over to Seattle to be the Supersonics. That's it. Acquire John Collins, Marvin Bagley for the 12th pick. I could care less. I don't know. Spurs. Spurs need to blow it up. They need to. Greg Popovich needs to retire. They just need to. They gotta rebuild for the next 3-4 years. It is what it is in the Western Conference. Al Horford for Lamarcus Aldridge, Patty Mills. That's why would Spurs pick up Al Horford, that big contract? If they're getting 0 picks, no sir. But they definitely need to trade away Lamarcus Aldridge over to another franchise and Patty Mills. Toronto Raptors. The Raptors get the first pick, Jacob Evans, in return for OG Anunoby in the 29th pick to Minnesota. Listen, if you're the Raptors, you definitely make that trade. If you're the Timberwolves, you're on crack. If you give away Anthony Edwards potentially for OG Anunoby, no. The Utah Jazz, man, I think they need to bring back Gordon Hayward and Ricky Rubio on the team. And if you can make a trade for Lamarcus Aldridge at the 4, that team would be fire. If you had Ricky Rubio, if you had Donovan Mitchell, Gordon Hayward, Lamarcus Aldridge, Rudy Gobert, that'd be straight fire, and they would have the cap space. Acquire Kevin Love for Mike Conley, 23rd pick. Oh, boy. If you're the Cavaliers, you'll do that because you don't want Kevin Love's big contract. I mean, you can get more for him if you're the Cavs with another trade, but if you're the Jazz, man, I don't know. You may have to do that if you're desperate. I wouldn't, but who knows. Last one, the Wizards. I think they need to blow up John Wall, Bradley Beal, get picks, get young guys, and restart this whole thing. The Wizards acquired Devontae Graham, Nicholas Batum, because he will opt in for $20 million. And they give the Charlotte Hornets John Wall in the 9th pick. If you're the Hornets, I would not do that because you're going to pick up LaMelo Ball with your 3rd pick. So really no need at all whatsoever. And I would like LaMelo Ball with Devontae Graham on the team. I wouldn't make this. I think if you're the Wizards, you want to target the New York Knicks for John Wall for their picks and young guys because they're desperate. But overall, kind of a little glance at these potential trades. Some of them kind of work out, some of them don't. But that's how Bleacher Report kind of runs through. Let's kind of see how the 2021 season kind of plays out with free agency going to come up and then more on the trades.